Good evening.
He's trying for us not to knock his camera.
I'm very excited to actually introduce our two student speakers to you because I think it's really important that you get to hear from your peers. I mean, they're 4th and 5th year students, so they're only a few years removed from your situation right now. And I think it's important that you can see how much they were able to accomplish in a relatively short amount of time. I mean, between the two of them, they've had some pretty interesting and diverse experiences through the international plan. Then we'll hear from Christina Lara. She's actually a 5th year senior majoring in business administration, and she's studying Mandarin Chinese. She's also graduating next year. And over the past couple of years, she's actually had a lot of significant experience in China. She's done a language immersion program, she's done an exchange program, and has had a couple of internships. So she's really seen the whole spectrum of what you can get from your IP experiences. So through these activities, she came to realize some things about herself and about her host culture, and so I wanted her to kind of share those insights with you. So first we're going to have Shine, and then we'll have Christine.
All right, good evening everyone. My name is Christina Lara, and I'm a 5th year business administration major and Chinese minor, and I am an international plan student. My international plan experience varies from studying Chinese for 2 years from my freshman year. Just a show of hands, how many of you here are studying a language you don't know, like any words in? Yeah, that was me with Chinese. It was a struggle in the beginning. Then I started my experiences abroad. So in the summer of 2011, I went to China for the Language of Business and Technology program in Shanghai and Qingdao, China. Following that, I worked for BMW Brilliance in Beijing, China. Working at a German company in China is quite an experience. Then following that experience, in the spring of 2012, I was an exchange student at the business school at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And then after that, I just couldn't get enough of China, and I did one last internship working for ISIC Mainland in China, doing sales on the national level in Guangzhou and Beijing, China. So why did I choose IP? So notice at the beginning of my speech that I didn't say where I was from. I actually grew up in 5 different countries due to my parents' job. So when I decided to go to college, I was living in Italy, and I wanted to go to a college that had an international airport nearby, had a good study abroad program, and a very good business program. I applied to 8 schools, and Georgia Tech was the only school with a program like the IP. It's unique and dynamic. It's really focused, but yet very customizable so that every person has a different experience. Why did I choose Chinese? Well, I came to school in 2009, and back then the economy in the US wasn't so great. And I really wanted a job after college. I wanted that guaranteed job. And back then, it was tough to predict that in the future. So I thought if I studied Chinese, I would be the most competitive student at my school, studying business and Chinese. So that is why I chose Chinese, but I had no idea the experience that I would get myself into. So that is why I did IP and why I studied Chinese. Now, to kind of explain what I got out of my experience, I'd like to share with you all a story. Sure, I can share you the experience of when I went from Beijing to Hong Kong on a wooden bench on a train for 24 hours. Sure, I can tell you about the experience of when I went to Thailand and had the most amazing experience riding on an elephant. I can tell you about many different experiences about how I got lost in China and had to do my best getting around in a taxi in random Chinese that I was just pulling out of nowhere. But I would like to share with you all a more personal experience of mine. I would like to share with you guys how I learned the true definition of the word guanxi. So guanxi in Chinese literally means relationship, but it really means more of a reciprocal relationship. It's a way of life in China. It's how you do business. It's how you make friends. It's like networking, but on the deeper level. And before I continue with my story, I'd like to explain to you all that I am addicted to shopping. I was very addicted to shopping in China because the prices were especially low. And it's my personal belief that when you go to any country and you go to a market, that is the way that you'll learn about the local culture. You'll see how people do business, how people interact with each other. It's, especially in Beijing, kind of a brutal way to learn about the local culture. But one day, after a day of hard work at BMW, I decided that I needed to buy myself a purse because I had a rough day. So I went to the nearest market, Yashou Market, where I lived in Beijing, and I went straight to the purse section. I was looking around and I found a shop, and the name of the shop vendor was Christina. Now when I was there, I was just looking for a purse. But when I met Christina, she saw that I was having a rough day, and she offered me a seat. So she sat me down and she started showing me purses, but while she was showing me her different purses, she started asking me, oh, how was your day? Why are you in China? What? Oh, you're a student from America, that's really cool. Why did you decide to do this? How did you get an internship at BMW? So instead of just finding a purse, I found a purse and a new friend. A few weeks later, a friend of mine needed a purse, and we went back to Christina, and she gave her a great deal on a purse. And then I continued going back, and every time I went back, Christina gave me a lower price, and I also had very good conversations with her. I just went sometimes just to talk to her. It's like when you call up a friend and meet them at Starbucks in Tech Square after school. Through this, I learned about the true definition of guanxi, because in China, I went to a shop and I made a new friend, and I built a business relationship through buying purses. I could have gone to any shop. I could have just been like US and gone to a store like Target and just bought a purse, but instead I made an interaction and I made a new friend, and through this I learned the true meaning of guanxi. And once I understood guanxi, I learned how to do business better. I interacted better with my coworkers. I interacted better with my fellow classmates in Hong Kong. I did sales on the national level for ISIC mainland of China, where I had to do negotiation in the boardroom. So this is how I learned the true meaning of guanxi and how I learned about a very ritual yet commonly known Chinese practice. So for me, IP allowed me to be that American, instead of the American living abroad like I did before. It allowed me to work and study in a country and completely immerse myself in the culture. I was more than just the American girl living abroad, because I was the American girl being the Chinese girl. Now I have a friend like Christina, who when I went back in Beijing the following summer, we reunited, gave giant hugs, and started screaming at the bottom of the market, where tourists and shop vendors were in shock at how a foreign girl and a Chinese shop vendor could have such a relationship. I came back from China learning that my experiences gave me a different mindset, and it provided a different perspective. When I was in the classroom in my various international business classes, I learned that my experiences brought the words out of my textbook and I understood them. Guanxi before was just a vocabulary word to me, but now it's a story and a friend. And I also had interviews and my capstone classes where my experience wasn't just another international experience, it was a very focused international experience, and sometimes made me the token expert in that country or region. So my challenge to you guys is don't just say you're gonna do IP. So a lot of you guys signed up because it sounds cool, and a lot of you guys are sitting here because you want to know why you should do more. It's a lot of tough work, and sometimes a lot of extra work. I remember I was really frustrated that for my capstone class I had to write extra papers every week, rather than just do the regular work that my classmates did. But don't you want something different? Isn't that why you're all here? You know, you all have those friends who've had those awesome experiences. Maybe you could be like, oh, there's that guy who had that experience in Germany, or that girl that did that experience in China. But don't you want to be that person who in 3 or 2 years, you could be up here sharing your own experience? So I challenge you all to do the IP and fully commit to it. And I hope that one day you meet a Christina just like I did. Thank you.